We are, of course, talking about the Unrivaled League. And there's this number that keeps popping up everywhere in the press.
Oh, yeah.
The one that makes everyone stop and stare, and that's $40 million.
It is a staggering number. I mean, for a new league, it's almost unheard of.
Right. A projected revenue of $40 million for a startup sports league in its very first year?
Yeah.
That sounds, well, on paper, it sounds like an absolute home run. It sounds like the industry has finally arrived.
It definitely sounds like the success story everyone was hoping for.
But, there is always a but. On this show, we have this stack of notes here today.
A big stack.
It includes financial breakdowns, some pretty brutal roster critiques, and some incredibly candid source analysis. And it all just paints a completely different picture.
A much darker one.
So, how a company can be generating $40 million.
Right.
And yet, according to these sources, be arguably in dumb argument territory regarding its actual success.
We are essentially doing an autopsy on the living patient today.
That's a great way to put it.
Because you have this massive top-line revenue number, that's $40 million. But when you strip away the marketing hype and you look underneath the hood
At the actual mechanics
of the business, and it gets alarming fast. We're talking about viewership numbers, roster construction, and the specific, very dangerous details of their TV contracts. One of our sources explicitly calls the whole thing a house of cards.
A house of cards that is somehow generating 8 figures in revenue.
Yeah.
That is the paradox I really want to understand. How do you reconcile those two things? Because usually, if you're making that kind of money, you're doing something right.
You'd think so.
But the source material is pretty brutal. It's basically arguing that, we're swimming in cash, but potentially facing extinction in, 3 to 5 years.
That's the timeline we're looking at.
So let's start with the money. It seems like the most logical place. Why is it flowing if the foundation is so shaky?
To understand the money, you have to step back and you have to understand the timeline. You have to look at the investment boom of 2024.
Okay.
This is a very, very specific moment in the sports business world where the market speculation on women's sports was at an absolute all-time high.
Right. So contextualize that for us. What was the mood in the room for investors back in 24?
Think about it like the dot-com boom of the late 90s. It's a similar kind of fever.
Okay.
Investors were looking at the returns people got in 2021, and some of those early adopters saw a 10 times return on their money in women's sports ventures.
10x, wow.
And then in 2023, you had firms getting a solid 5 times return. So by the time 2024 rolls around, there was this massive fear of missing out mentality. FOMO,
Right, everyone wanted a piece of the pie. They saw the line on the graph going straight up and just assumed it would go up forever.
Exactly.
They wanted in before the door closed.
Exactly. They were pouring gasoline on the fire. Unrivaled secured a massive amount of initial capital. Our source describes it quite colorfully as a shitload.
I saw that note.
Because the expectation was exponential growth. They were betting on a trajectory that basically defied gravity.
But it seems like there's more to it than just blind optimism. There's a nuance here, right? Regarding advertising budgets, that explains a lot of that initial cash flow.
Yes, and this is maybe the most crucial part of that initial $40 million. This is the hedging concept that you see in the notes.
The hedging concept, right.
A lot of major companies, your big Fortune 500s, had massive marketing budgets, specifically sectioned off for women's basketball.
So the money was already earmarked. It had to be spent there.
That money had to be spent in that category. It was allocated. But at that exact moment, companies weren't 100% sure about the WNBA's viability for their specific needs.
What do you mean by that?
Well, maybe they were worried about a potential labor lockout or, scheduling conflicts with other sports they sponsor. Or maybe they just wanted to diversify their portfolio. It's basic risk management.
So they didn't want to put all their eggs in the WNBA basket.
Precisely. So what do? They diverted a significant chunk of that budget into Unrivaled. And it wasn't necessarily that they were true believers in the specific 3-on-3 model Unrivaled was pitching.
They just needed another bucket.
It was that Unrivaled was the only other bucket available to catch the rain. It was the alternative.
That is a dangerous way to build a business, though. I mean, if you're getting money just because you're the backup plan, that money isn't loyal.
It's not sticky at all.
It flees the second the primary option stabilizes or looks better.
And it gets even shakier than that. This is what our source calls the sponsorship trap.
The sponsorship trap. Okay.
Unrivaled didn't just passively take the money. They aggressively sold a very specific vision to get it. They went out and signed long-term sponsorship deals based on the heavy, heavy implication that the biggest stars in the world would be playing in their league.
Right. They didn't sell the league, they sold the players who were supposedly coming to the league.
They went to these brands and effectively said, give us the money and we will give you the Avengers of women's basketball.
And of course, you're talking about the Caitlin Clark factor.
The Caitlin Clark factor.
Yeah.
And the Angel Reese factor. And the Sabrina Ionescu factor. The pitch was, effectively, we have the relationships, we have the cool new format, we will have the stars.
I mean, Caitlin Clark is the economy of women's basketball right now.
She is.
If you even hint that you have a strong chance of signing her, the checkbook just opens immediately. There are no other questions.
Precisely. And that is where the $40 million figure starts to look a bit precarious. A huge chunk of that, we're talking more than half, roughly $20 million a year, comes from a single TV deal.
A single deal.
The source identifies the partner as TNT.
Okay, let's just pause right there. $20 million a year from one media partner. I mean, that sounds great on the surface.
It sounds fantastic.
That hits your revenue target right out of the gate. So why is that a problem?
It's a problem because of the fine print. And in the media business, big deals like this almost certainly include an opt-out clause.
Let's unpack that for a second. An opt-out clause. That basically means the network can just say, hey, this isn't working for us, the numbers are bad, we're done, right?
That's exactly what it means. And in the TV world, those clauses are always triggered by performance metrics.
Ratings.
Specifically ratings. Viewership. If the ratings tank, the network can pull the plug. Or, maybe even worse, they can force a renegotiation at a fraction of the original price.
So your $20 million deal becomes a $5 million deal overnight.
If you're lucky. The source makes a really dark but apt comparison here. They compare it to TNA.
TNA, the wrestling promotion.
Yes. TNA Wrestling had a moment where they had huge hype, they had big names who'd left WWE, and they had a major TV deal.
I remember this.
But when the network bailed, because the numbers just didn't justify the cost, the value of the company plummeted instantly.
Right.
It went from being a competitor to a struggler overnight. If TNT opts out, Unrivaled doesn't just lose a partner, their entire revenue model completely collapses.
They're not a $40 million company anymore.
They're not. They are not sustainable without that specific deal. That deal is the central pillar.
So they have the money now, but it's conditional money. It's like they're renting success, not owning it.
That's a perfect way to phrase it.
And that brings us to the elephant in the room. If the TV deal depends on people watching, are people actually watching?
And this is where the dumb argument our source mentioned comes into play. You can argue about revenue projections and business models all day long.
You can spin that stuff.
You can absolutely spin it. You cannot argue with the viewership numbers. And the reality, according to our analysis, is just stark.
How bad is it?
We are seeing a viewership floor that is, frankly, shocking. There are times when viewership for the league has dipped to 30,000 people.
30,000.
30,000.
For a national TV product that's supposedly worth $20 million a year?
It is remarkably low.
Yeah.
That's public access television territory. And if you look at the digital footprint, their online presence, it's even more concerning.
Okay.
The source highlights the YouTube metrics. They are struggling, and I mean struggling, to get even 1,000 views on their live streams.
1,000 viewers.
1,000, unless one specific person is playing.
Let me guess. Paige Buchers.
Paige Buchers. She is the lifeline. When she plays, the needle moves. You see a spike. When she doesn't, it doesn't matter if it's marketed as primetime or an all-star matchup.
What?
The audience just isn't there. It falls off a cliff.
Wow. That puts an incredible amount of pressure on one single player.
Immense pressure.
But also, just practically speaking, 30,000 viewers. Advertisers pay for eyeballs. That's the business. If the eyeballs aren't there, the math stops working really, really quickly.
And this connects directly back to that opt-out clause we just discussed.
The sword hanging over their head.
Networks aren't in the business of charity. They're not going to lose money on a property just to be nice. If ratings stay at 30,000, or if your digital engagement is flatlining at 1,000 views,
Yeah.
the network will opt out. It's not a matter of if, but when. And when they do, they were not going to come back to the table and offer $20 million again. They might offer a quarter of that.
And suddenly your $40 million revenue projections turn into, what, 10 or 15 million? But your expenses are still set up for a major league operation.
Your cost structure is baked in.
That is a terrifying prospect for any startup. That's the death spiral.
It is.
But wait, let's go back to the investment phase for a second. You said they sold the league on the promise of the 30 best players.
Yeah, it was the pitch.
If Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were actually playing, surely the ratings wouldn't be 30,000.
No, of course not.
So what happened to the talent? Where did everybody go?
That is what the source calls the great bait and switch. And it is the core fundamental reason for the viewership crisis we're seeing.
The bait and switch.
The original pitch was crystal clear. The 30 best players in the world. That was the tagline. That was the promise made to investors, to sponsors, to the network. But you just have to look at the reality of the roster today.
Okay, let's do the roll call then. Who is missing from this supposed top 30?
Well, let's start at the top. Caitlin Clark. The source says she is almost certainly never playing in Unrivaled.
Never is a very strong word. Why so certain?
Look, she doesn't need the money, first of all. Her endorsement portfolio is massive. And strategically, does playing 3-on-3 in the offseason actually help her brand or her game?
Probably not. It's a risk of injury for no real gain.
Exactly. Next on the list, A'ja Wilson. The source says simply never playing. Not interested. Angel Reese and Sabrina Ionescu.
The other two faces they probably pitched?
Right. The odds of them playing again are listed as incredibly low. They came, they saw. They likely won't be back.
And those aren't just any players. Those are the faces of the league. Those are the people you put on the billboards and in the TV commercials.
It goes even deeper than the absolute top tier. They lost Kelsey Mitchell. They lost Alyssa Thomas.
Now, Alyssa Thomas is interesting. She might not be on the cover of a video game.
Right.
But the WNBA metrics, the real analytical data, says she is a main draw for actual basketball fans, the purists.
She drives engagement because of her unique style of play. She's not there. Gone.
And I see a note here about Nika Ogwumike. Where is she?
She's playing in a competing entity, this thing called Project B, instead.
Okay, we'll have to come back to Project B.
And then there's Sophie Cunningham, another player with a massive, very active social media following, a personality. They never even secured her in the first place.
Wow. So when you list it out like that, it's not just one or two misses. It's the entire top tier of the marketing brochure.
It is a massive, catastrophic talent drain. And what happens when you lose the top tier? You have to fill the spots.
You can't play 3-on-3 with empty chairs.
Right. So this leads to a dilution of quality, a serious one. The league is now relying on players who, in the context of the WNBA, would be considered 50th percentile.
So average players, role players.
Or to be even more blunt, players from what our source calls the DMP crew.
The DMP crew, what's that?
The did not play crew.
Ah.
Players who barely get minutes on WNBA rosters, who are at the end of the bench, are now being positioned as starters and key players in Unrivaled.
That changes the entire product.
Completely. It goes from the promise of all-star game every single night to, well, a standard exhibition game involving a lot of bench players.
And the fans notice. The dedicated fans absolutely know the difference between an all-star and a third-string rotation player.
And this is where it gets worse. The marketing decisions around this now diluted roster have been criticized heavily in our notes. There is a very specific and kind of damning comparison made between two players, Rachel Banham and Hailey Van Lith.
Oh, I saw this in the notes. This got a bit spicy. What's the logic there? Unpack this for us.
It did. The source absolutely blasts the decision to put Rachel Banham on a team over Hailey Van Lith. Now look, no offense to Rachel Banham, she's a solid professional.
Sure.
But from a marketing and a format perspective, the argument is that Van Lith is just objectively better suited for this specific 3-on-3 style.
Yeah.
She has an Olympic pedigree in it.
Right, she's a 3x3 specialist.
But crucially, more importantly for a struggling league, she has a massive built-in following.
She's a viral star. People care about where she is and what she's doing. She moves the needle online.
People will actually tune in specifically to watch her. Placing Banham on a team instead was labeled in the source as just dumb marketing.
It suggests the league isn't even maximizing the limited assets it has left.
Exactly. They are bringing in players like Megan Gustafson to fill spots, while leaving known viral stars and format specialists on the sidelines. It's baffling.
It feels like they are trying to maintain some kind of pure basketball credibility while completely ignoring the fact that they are a startup that desperately needs eyeballs.
Yes.
You need the Hailey Van Liths of the world if you don't have Caitlin Clark. You can't afford to be snobby about basketball purity when your viewership is at 30,000.
Precisely. And this talent drain, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's not like These players are just staying home and resting.
They're being lured away.
They are being lured away.
Oh.
Unrivaled is being squeezed on two sides. On one side, you have the resurgent WNBA, and on the other, you have this mysterious Project B.
Okay, let's talk about the competition then. Because usually when we talk about women's basketball in the offseason, we think it's just the WNBA and then overseas.
Right.
But now we have Unrivaled and this Project B. What is the financial reality here? What are players choosing between?
The financial reality is a salary war that Unrivaled simply cannot win.
Cannot win.
Remember, they have a fixed revenue pot that is, as we've established, likely to shrink dramatically. Meanwhile, the WNBA is offering massive salary increases.
Because of their new media deals.
Up to 6x what they used to be, thanks to their own new media deals and the Caitlin Clark effect. And Project B,
The mystery box.
they are reportedly offering astronomical money. The source mentions offers of up to 10 times what Unrivaled is paying for certain top-tier players.
10 times. So if Unrivaled is paying, say, $200,000 for a star, Project B is coming in with an offer for $2 million.
For the top stars. Potentially.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, significantly more than the capped, structured salaries of Unrivaled. And here is the squeeze.
Yeah.
Unrivaled salaries are likely to stagnate or even shrink.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the long-term cash flow. They spent their seed money getting this thing off the ground.
Right. The war chest is getting smaller.
Meanwhile, WNBA salaries are rising. And maybe more importantly, player brands are growing within that established ecosystem. So if you are a player, why would you lock yourself into Unrivaled? The upside just isn't there.
Especially if the Project B option offers something totally different and maybe even more valuable than cash. The notes mention a global branding strategy that sounds absolutely fascinating.
It is.
This isn't just another league. It sounds more like a rock tour.
This is where it gets really, really interesting, especially for a superstar like Paige Bueckers,
Their last lifeline.
their last lifeline. There is strategic advice floating around, and our source speculates it's potentially linked to a major brand like Nike that suggests she shouldn't lock herself into a domestic league like Unrivaled right away.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
The concept is a world tour.
Like the Harlem Globetrotters, but for serious competitive play.
In a sense, yes, but focused laser-like on building a singular global superstar brand. Imagine Project B sends a curated team of stars, led by Paige, to Japan or to the Philippines.
Why the Philippines specifically? I saw that in the notes.
The source uses the Philippines as a perfect example.
Yeah.
That country adores basketball. It's a religion there. It's a massive, passionate market.
Okay.
If you put Paige Bueckers in a 10,000-seat stadium in Manila, she isn't just playing a basketball game.
She's an event.
She is dominating a cultural moment. The energy would be insane. It wouldn't be a quiet TV studio. It would be pandemonium night after night.
I can absolutely picture that. And I guess from a brand perspective, even if people are buying knockoff jerseys outside the arena, the brand impact is real and immense.
Exactly. The source argues that this creates Kobe-level worldwide fame.
Wow.
Kobe Bryant isn't just an NBA player in Asia. He's a cultural icon because he and his sponsors engage directly with those markets. A global footprint like that is infinitely more valuable for selling shoes and securing long-term endorsements than playing in a soundstage in Miami for 30,000 TV viewers.
No comparison.
So if a company like Nike advises Paige to go global for a year to build that brand,
Unrivaled loses their last remaining needle mover.
they do. And without Paige, we go right back to that 1,000 view count on YouTube. It really does feel like the walls are closing in.
And it's not just Paige. You also mentioned retention problems with other stars like Aaliyah Boston.
Yes, Aaliyah Boston is another major flight risk. Her close links with Candace Parker, who's involved in other ventures, and the potential for much more money elsewhere. It makes her a very tough player to retain.
And if they lose Boston?
If Unrivaled loses Boston, the legitimacy of their front court talent takes another massive hit.
So let's just recap the board here. We have a league with a potentially expiring TV deal that's propping the whole thing up.
Sure.
We have sinking ratings that are triggering the clause in that deal.
Sure.
And we have talent that is actively looking at better, more lucrative, and more strategic offers elsewhere. This begs the question, what is the shelf life here? Is Unrivaled going to be around in 10 years?
5 years. Our source is very, very specific on this prediction. They give Unrivaled a strict 3 to 5 year shelf life.
That's it, 3 to 5 years.
That is the window. And that is, frankly, a best case scenario where they manage the decline gracefully. Unless the entire structure fundamentally changes, the model breaks within that window.
But here's a thought, and the source does touch on this. Can it be a failure as a business, but somehow a success for the ecosystem as a whole?
That is the success paradox, and it's a fascinating idea.
Explain that.
Even if Unrivaled goes bankrupt in year 4, you could argue it was a massive success for the players.
How so?
Because its existence, however brief, forced the WNBA to compete. It panicked the WNBA front office into finally raising salaries in a meaningful way. It gave players leverage they never ever had before.
It created a real market for their services for the first time.
A real domestic market. It kept players in America making 6 figures in the off-season, instead of grinding away in Turkey or Russia for that short window.
So as a catalyst, it works. As a long-term sustainable business, it's a failure.
Exactly. It might just be the sacrificial lamb that modernizes the pay structures for all of women's basketball.
That is a bitter, bitter pill for the investors who put up that shitload of money, though.
Oh, for sure.
They aren't in it for the moral victory or to be a catalyst for the sport. They want the 5x or 10x return on their investment.
Of course.
So, is there any path to survival? Is there a version of Unrivaled that actually works long-term?
There is only one path, according to this analysis, and it's what the source calls the pivot.
The pivot.
Unrivaled must partner with the WNBA. They cannot survive as a competitor. They have to become a companion.
So they have to swallow their pride.
They have to swallow their pride and accept a new role. They need to become a feeder league.
Feeder league. Okay, so what does that look like?
The model shifts completely. It stops pretending to be the Super League for the top 30 players in the world.
Which it isn't anyway.
Which it isn't. And it accepts its role as the official off-season league. Think of it as a high-end G League or a continuous televised tryout camp.
So who plays in that version of the league if it's not the stars?
It's not Caitlin Clark or Aja Wilson. It's the borderline players. The players on the fringes of WNBA rosters. The players fighting for those last couple of spots on a team.
Can you give us an example?
Think of players like Sedona Prince.
Right. She's currently playing overseas in Greece, I think?
She is currently killing it in Europe for Panathinaikos. Or think of a college star like Deja Kelly coming out, instead of going to Europe.
Dealing with being away from home, the language barriers, the travel fatigue.
All of that. Instead, they stay in the U.S. They play in this new version of Unrivaled for, let's say, $200,000 for the season.
Which is still great money for a developmental player. That's life-changing.
It is absolutely life-changing money for that tier of player. And they use it as a showcase. They get high-level reps. They stay in front of WNBA coaches and GMs, and they try to get signed by WNBA teams for the main season.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It solves the off-season problem for the players who aren't super rich yet, and it gives the WNBA a structured domestic pipeline for talent development. Yeah.
It's logical. It's a win-win-win.
Yeah.
But for that to work, the calendar has to change.
Right.
And the source argues that the WNBA schedule itself is ripe for disruption. The proposal on the table is to expand the WNBA season to run from May 1st all the way to the end of November.
November. But wait, everyone always says you can't go into November because of the NFL.
The NFL monolith.
You'll get crushed. That's the golden rule of sports broadcasting in America. Do not fight the NFL.
The source just dismisses that argument entirely. And honestly, the logic behind the dismissal is pretty sound.
Okay, I want to hear this.
They argue that the audiences don't overlap as much as people think. If it's Game 5 of the WNBA Finals and Caitlin Clark is playing, basketball fans, her fans, are going to watch that. They aren't going to suddenly switch over to watch a random Week 10 regular season NFL game just because it's on.
You aren't trying to beat the NFL in total rating.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
You just need your core audience to show up, and they will.
That's true. I think we do overestimate the audience overlap. Die-hard basketball fans are die-hard basketball fans. If the product is good and the stakes are high, they will watch it.
And if you push the WNBA season back, you also solve the draft problem.
The draft is always a mess, isn't it? It feels so rushed. It happens like 2 days after the college championship game.
Exactly. Right now, there's that awkward, frantic 2-week gap after the college finals before the WNBA draft. The source suggests just pushing the draft back.
Slow it down.
Slow it down. We don't need the frantic rush. There isn't a real scouting combine like the NBA has, and the teams already have 4 years of game tape on all of these players. Let the season breathe and let Unrivaled fill the gap in the true winter months from December to March.
It sounds like a much healthier, more logical ecosystem. Unrivaled as the Winter Development League, WNBA as the main event, stretching longer into the fall.
Yeah.
But getting from here, where Unrivaled thinks it's a $40 million Titan, to there, where it's a feeder league, is going to be a painful, humbling transition.
It will be an incredibly humbling transition. It requires admitting that the initial Super League concept completely failed. And it will likely come with significant financial losses for the original investors. But the alternative?
The alternative is total extinction.
The alternative is total extinction when that TV deal expires and the money runs out.
So let's bring this all together. We started with this massive, shiny $40 million headline, but what we've actually found is a deeply precarious situation.
It is the classic house of cards. You have this high projected revenue that is completely masked by a dangerous reliance on an opt-out TV deal and viewership that is plummeting.
The money is there because of the speculation of 2024, not because of the product's actual performance today.
Exactly.
And the talent promise, that core pitch of the top 30, has all but evaporated. The biggest stars are either staying in the WNBA or they're looking at Project B and these global tours.
Which leaves Unrivaled with a diluted roster that simply does not and cannot drive the ratings needed to save that all-important TV deal.
It's a sobering reality check. It really shows that in the world of sports investments, speculation drives the bus.
It does.
Money was thrown at Unrivaled, assuming a boom, a straight line up to the moon. But growth is rarely a straight line. It flattened out. And the mantra of, if you build it, they will come. It simply doesn't work if the specific stars, the Clarks, the Buchers of the world, don't show up.
You can build the nicest stadium in the world, you can have the best broadcast.
Yeah.
But if the main attraction isn't there, neither is the audience.
That is the takeaway. You cannot manufacture stardom, you can only host it. And they couldn't secure the hosts.
Well put.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over. We talked about that success paradox. So imagine this scenario. Unrivaled collapses in 3 years. It goes bankrupt. The investors lose millions. But in its wake, it leaves behind a WNBA where the average player is paid 6 times more because of the pressure Unrivaled applied. Was that a business failure, or was it a necessary sacrifice for the entire ecosystem? And maybe ask yourself this. If you were a player like Paige Buchers, standing at that exact crossroads, would you choose the safety and structure of a domestic league, or would you take the gamble on a world tour to try and become a true global icon?
That is the multi-million-dollar question right there.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.